for freedom of his own people, but going about it in a violent way, especially with Simon Ekpa. Do you really see that enough to get him incarcerated in Finland?
No. Well, that would be jumping ahead of the court. It's left for the prosecution to prove that yes, it is the person who was arrested, the person who was involved in those activities, which it's now termed as terrorism-related, and to provide material evidence, material witnesses to back up the case. So, of course, the prosecution has put the court on notice that it had challenges trying to get witnesses from Nigeria, and maybe gather evidence. But I believe that, working with their counterparts in Nigeria, they should be able to piece something together. But Simon Ekpa's team, defense team, is now angling, now turning in a certain direction.
What direction?
An interesting direction. By saying that the court should discountenance evidence coming from Nigeria. So sort of putting a question mark on any evidence obtained from Nigeria. You see, let us face facts. It's sad all that has happened concerning all of these things in the Southeast. The economy of the Southeast has been significantly drawn back. People have been killed. Properties have been lost. Homes have been destroyed. Families have been wiped out in these things. Children have been turned to orphans. Women turned to widows. Yeah. Men turned to widowers for no fault of theirs.
And this is not coming from an external adversary. It's more like an internal thing.
Yeah, that is why you see much of our problems in Nigeria are generated by Nigerians. Nigeria is at the mercy of Nigerians who won't just do things the right way. I mean, in different spheres. Not just talking about the case, in question, but looking at the fact that how has it affected Nigeria? I mean, because saying that, okay, I'm a content creator, okay, on so and so date, the prosecutor says that, okay, he declared a sit at home on so and so date. And what were the consequential actions that followed it? Yes, he can say he didn't force anybody, but of course we have reports of unknown gunmen, of gangs going all over the place, shooting at people, killing people. Yes, shooting at people, burning vehicles, burning houses. Look, we must say enough is enough of all of this. I'm an Igbo person, and I'm not. Our culture does not preach violence, does not preach destruction. I don't think there's any culture in the world that says you should take the lives of your fellow human beings.
So, but why do you think the likes of Simon Ekpa and Nnamdi Kanu have openly encouraged some of those things? Are they genuine with the quest that they long for?
No, Simon Ekpa has said he had nothing to do with it. So, in other words, discountenancing any involvement in what has been termed the Biafra struggle. Nnamdi Kanu has owned up, that yes, he has championed the Biafra struggle. And the matter is ongoing right now. Why? Due to the perceived marginalization of, people of the Southeast, people of the Southeast. And then due to certain actions which had been taken that were said to have impacted negatively on the Southeast. And so, trying to reenact what was done in 1967, when Ojukwu, then Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu declared the Republic of Biafra through the Ahịara Declaration of May 30, 1967. So, based on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's perception of the fact that the circumstances that led to that declaration are still there. So that the best thing would be to excise the southeast or areas, the southeast and other areas that appeared in a map, which was said to have come from his group, the IPOB, Indigenous Peoples of Biafra, so that just to excise those areas out of Nigeria so that they will go on self-rule, like what Biafra, Republic of Biafra under Ojukwu did for 30 months. Mm-hmm. But the Nigerian government said no and has taken actions, to prevent that from happening. And so many lives have been lost. A lot of youths have been killed. Villages, communities have been destroyed. I happened to pass through one community somewhere in Imo State, in the boundary between Imo State and Anambra State, sometime last year, April last year. And I saw whole communities abandoned. Whole communities abandoned. Abandoned, deserted. Not even a single fowl or a single goat. These are things when you enter into a village. Yeah. You normally see a goat, see a chicken or one. Not any. Not even a bird flying. So what does that tell you? And you could see houses, story buildings, well-built houses, abandoned. Which showed that the people of those communities had to flee for their safety. And so these are the things we need to say no to. Because desirable to get justice and no part of Nigeria should be made to feel like they are second-class citizens or they are excluded from the benefits arising from their citizenship of the Nigerian state. But again, the methods we apply, the methods we choose to apply in bringing about a redress of the perceived injustice must not be methods that may tend to aggravate rather than remedy those things we have an issue with.
Yes, because that brings me to the question of the right channel to getting what you want. If this were to be in the 70s and the 60s, it would have been accepted, okay, where people use grotesque measures like this one to seek for cessation of a part of a country. But we're living in 2025, where diplomacy is the most important thing. And Emeka, this brings my mind back to Marcel Malanga, a former DRC military, is an American actually. He went on this desperation to wanting to overthrow the government of the DRC just last year with his son, who is equally an American also. But of course, that day the coup failed and he was killed. The son is currently serving jail time in the DRC. So this measure by some people to desperately desire to rule a nation, where do you think that is coming from? Are we going back to the pre-colonial times where it was common?
Well, you know that African nations, with the exception of, I think, Ethiopia, were cobbled together at the conference, I think it was in 1889, where African nations were forcefully brought together, and then divided by the colonial powers at that time. But over time, we have come to see that these forced marriages have tended to lead to, outcomes that are really unpleasant. Look at Sudan. We have South Sudan. Look at Ethiopia. We have Eritrea.
True.
And, here and there, you still have, look at the Western Sahara. Look at Western Sahara trying to pull out of Morocco. Look at Nigeria. You had Biafra. You've also had people from other parts of Nigeria saying they want to.
Yes, the Oduduwa Republic desiring to go their way.
You know, Fulani
the Bamanda in Cameroon, equally the Anglophone area of Cameroon.
All of this, Cameroon, yes, Anglophone Cameroon wanted to go on its own, away from, you know, the Francophone and all of that. Even in the United States, you have people who have said they want, let their part of the United States be, you know, excised, you know, so that they can go back to, you know, those days, the way they were, you know, stories, you know, the legends, the folk tales, you know, about how their forebears lived in paradise, you know. But, like you asked, violence does not necessarily produce results that can ameliorate a situation. Because when we war, like you said, we will end up having to come to the negotiating table. And that's the more difficult part. That's why you see the President Donald Trump has been trying so hard to get Russia and Ukraine to sit at the negotiating table. Because at the end of the day, it's not about who is right, but who is left. Thousands of people dead in different wars here and there all over the world, all for nothing. Flimsy excuses, just to satisfy the ego of people. And now, bringing it back home, yes, the cries about marginalization have actually gone from the southeast to different parts of the country. You know, people, I mean, look at the Southwest was saying the other time that the last time the Southwest produced a chief of army staff was during the military. I mean, a long time ago. Was it a long time ago anyway? With General, I think it was General Alani Akinrade or so. You know, and the last time now it has even gone to the extent of saying the last time the Southwest produced an INEC chairman. Or that in fact that the Southwest has never produced an INEC chairman. A chairman of the electoral agency since independence. So, you know, these are things that you find, you know, that fuel nationalistic fervor. But the point is, are we better off going our separate ways? Or are we better off as one country? These are things we need to sit down and discuss. Unfortunately, the National Assembly that should deal with these issues has chosen to dodge.
And standing on the mandate.
Successive presidents have all said, that the sanctity of Nigeria is inviolable. That the Nigerian nation is indivisible. Whereas they know they are deceiving themselves. When President Goodluck Jonathan was jumping about and saying all this, he knew even his own Ijaw ethnic nationality was saying no, that we are not being treated fairly in Nigeria. So, why did you have, you know, such, you know, why have we had the Fulanis, you know, being, you know, accused of causing a lot of disruption, violent disruption to lives, you know, to activities.
So could that equally be blamed on
even when Muhammadu Buhari was a Fulani man was in power? You saw what happened. Look at Boko Haram from the northeast. So that you even ask a question, what exactly do they want? The vice president is someone from the northeast, from Borno State, where Boko Haram started. But look at Boko Haram. Still trying so much.
So what then is the problem? Because we are using the IPOB as a reference.
Now what it shows is that you see sometimes when, you know, starting a war is easy, but determining how it will end, nobody knows how it will end. So that is why at the end of the day, dialogue is the most preferred. We have to, yes, continue to state it clearly that these are the inequities that certain parts of the country are facing. And then those in charge at the federal level should also listen, should also have a listening ear Because no matter what you have, these people are citizens of Nigeria. So even if you send weapons, you send fighter jets and all of that into those areas, and you say, okay, you conquer them, who are you going to rule over? If you clear all the people there, who are you going to rule over? And that is why you find out that Boko Haram is causing its own problem from one side. Then the Nigerian military is trying to push them back. In the middle, you have the innocent citizens.
Who are casualties.
So, what we need to do is that we must find ways of preventing some of these things from even taking off
in the first place. Now, Emeka, this brings me to leadership, especially in the southeast of Nigeria, and how gory the position is, especially with respect to deficit of leaders in that region. I'm talking about governors in the 5 southeastern states. I'm talking about our parliamentarians, those in the federal and the state house of assemblies, who are supposed to be in charge of some of these things. Nature, they say, abhors vacuum. Nnamdi Kanu, Simon Ekpa would never have been listened to if there was accountability of those in power. Now, speak to me on how our governors have become complicit to some of these gory things happening in the southeast of Nigeria, particularly in Anambra and the Imo State, which we see, some of the most gory, violent scenes.
No, I wouldn't say that we don't have leaders. We do have leaders. We elected them.
I'm talking about leaders who are accountable. Of course, leaders can be good or bad, could call themselves leaders.
But the same
I'm talking about leaders who are accountable.
Okay, fine, we say they're not accountable, but the same leaders will pack a trailer of rice and people will line up to collect those bags of rice. Why can't they reject them like it was done? We saw on video in Ghana where a politician went to distribute rice and they threw the rice back at him and sent him away from the place. Why can't we do that? Why can't we do that? So the followers themselves are also part of the problem. The followers themselves must also decide that we want a decent living. We want to be treated decently. Don't come and throw food at us, throw money at us. Give us power. Give us amenities. Give us education. Let us have high human development index. Let us have those things that will make us be able to put our best, show our best, to be able to show to the world that yes, you have talents in the southeast. And also, part of what I also see concerning the southeast is also, part of it is ignorance on the part of the leaders. Some of them don't even know that there are certain things that should come to the southeast as of right. We just had the issue of irrigation, dams.
Irrigation, yeah.
The southeast was left out.
Yes.
And they don't even know, some of these people don't even know that you being in the National Assembly, you should fight for these things. But what do you see? You see some of them running after Tinubu's second term. Those are not the issues. Those are not the issues. Because the fact that you came out pushing for Tinubu's second term and all of that, you are defecting and all of that, it will just be a news item that will maybe trend for a few hours or a few days and it will go away. Or
having one boy, stating that the whole village should be cleared because he doesn't like how that looks when
how is that your business?
When it's coming down.
How is that Ebonyi's business? There is no power supply in Ebonyi State. Ebonyi hospitals, do they have tracheometers? Ebonyi hospitals, do they have MRI machines? Ebonyi hospitals, do they have those tools that should be in hospitals so that if there's an emergency, lives can be saved? Do they have those things? Yes, the former governor David Umahi built roads and all of those things. But what of the livability index in Ebonyi State? Is it high?
Yeah, because last year I actually did a documentary on that. Ebonyi had the highest level of child and maternal mortality. There were no presence of primary healthcare centers in
but the government put 36 billion into building. Umahi built an airport with 36 billion. Imagine if you are taking 6 billion, after that 6 billion, and bought equipment for all those hospitals, including one he named after himself, King David, whatever. Bought all those things. Bought equipment. Then bought solar. Put solar in all the hospitals. And given a standing order that on no account must any hospital be without power, even for 1 second. Do you know that can trigger medical tourism? A lot of people will be flying to Ebonyi. That airport, you didn't need to have spent 6 billion. That airport would have witnessed traffic. You see, that's why I talk about poor people ignorance among Southeast leaders. They don't even know the things they will do, and that will naturally bring benefits to their people. And that's the sad thing. You don't even know that you need wider roads so that you can bring, so that you can have more vehicles running on those roads. You don't even know that you should encourage entrepreneurs in Nigeria of different levels to come and invest in your state before you start traveling all over the world saying you are looking for foreign investors. Have you looked for the local investors? For instance, yesterday, I went through the website of one vehicle manufacturing company that was set up in, I think, was in 1977, and then it took off under the Second Republic, and along the line, it was said to have been abandoned. But one businessman in the southeast, a transporter, on the website of that company, showed that he bought it over. And now that company, they are producing vehicles, they are assembling vehicles, which they are selling. So tell me something like that. It could have been abandoned. So what about things like Adapam? If you cannot manage Adapam in Imo State, why not look for investors? Work out a deal with them. But the problem is that some of these investors will not come because there may be requests for put something in my pocket. Look at what Peter Obi did as governor of Anambra State. Onitsha Enugu Road. Right from the Niger Bridge, he turned it into 10 lanes. Look at the boom in business in Onitsha. Look at what Alex Oti is doing.
Yes, because we can't...
Look at what he's doing in Abia.
To mention some of the things, the incredible...
Talking about moving power to the remaining local governments not covered, by the disco in the area. And saying, okay, the other disco, okay, fine, we're going to take over. Now the Electricity Act has said that states can have oversight of the sector. Okay, we want, since Aba Power, is generating power and distributing power. So why not take advantage of it? And that's what he's doing. Since they have a gas pipeline, fine, they can make use of that. And then they've been distributing smart meters and all of those things free. Why can't the other Southeast governors? By the way, when last did Southeast governors meet?
Exactly. Just like other regions, we've seen
they've been holding meetings. South, they've been holding meetings. And even some days ago, the heads of service in Southwest states met. And look at what Governor Sanwo-Olu was saying, who was the host, Lagos State Governor. See what he was talking about. Look at the development. Look at the developmental agenda. Look at the things he was saying. Even before President Tinubu set up the Southwest Development Commission, the Southwest governors have set up a development agenda for Western Nigeria, an initiative for development in the Southwest. Where is it in the Southeast?
And which is the reason why we have people, of course, who do not have a choice but to listen to people like Simon Ekpa. And of course, because people are disillusioned. Who are they going to listen to? We have leaders who are just more interested in the first international flight from Simon Bakwe International Cargo Airport in Owerri, which was built with the sweat of the people. Contributions of poor people. The first international flight, Hope Uzodinma celebrated, was Hajj. What did that bring to the people? Yes, you might say, oh, well, after all, they paid charges for parking, plane, landing, parking, and all of that.
After all, the Hajj, those who went on the Hajj, they bought things at the airport, wherever. Good and fine, we agree. And then when they come back to, they'll pass through the airport. We agree with all of that. But you have to look at the optics. The optics matter. The world sees these things. If the first international flight was the airlift of, was the movement that, okay, some cargo planes taking maybe processed oil palm products from Owerri to some foreign destinations, if that was the first, you can now do your Hajj flights. You can even do your flights to Rome, Jerusalem, and all of that. But first of all, position yourself as a serious entity by looking closely at the business, at the economic side. That is where you will get investors. Nobody is going to come and, no foreign investor is going to come to your country because you are taking religious flights, through your airport. Nobody. No foreign investor. But if you say, okay, for instance, that cassava, we've been able to develop products on cassava, and we're moving these things to China or something. Hey, you will see it in Bloomberg. You will see it in Business Insider. You might even see it on CNN, on their website. Yeah. You don't know what might just attract CNN. And they will come BBC and the rest of them. Yes, these are the things that mark how seriously people should take you globally. But where you are more interested in just one show, and that's all. No.
It's actually very, very sad, because when you take a look at it, particularly in Imo State, you see people like, of course, the executive governor Hope Uzodinma are preoccupied in the APC politics and galvanizing people to the APC. Wherever you see an event of the APC, that's where you see him, making the most. And
a lot of people have told him, you are too preoccupied.
Yes, with politics than governance.
With politics.
Yes.
He will tell you he's doing one road from Owerri to Elele. And I summarize it for some people, in a WhatsApp group I belong to. I said, Elele is in the same line as Omoko in River State. Elele is in River State. It's in the same line as Omoko. It's, close to Omoko. Whereby Omoko is a source of gas for the AKK, Ajaokuta, Kaduna, Katsina pipeline, that will take gas, that is projected to take gas to Europe. That Hope Uzodinma, why can't he get the President Bola Tinubu, to say, okay, why not give us a line from AKK running from Omoko to Elele and to Owerri, so that I can power the whole of Owerri? Because we want to build an industrial estate in Owerri, and we want to ramp up industrial activities, and we need gas. So why not give us a leg from Elele? It's the same question I've been asking Governor Chukwuma Soludo. You have AKK going through Ajaokuta. What's the distance from Ajaokuta to the northernmost part of Anambra State? What's the distance? You can actually pipe gas. Because remember, P2B, as governor of Anambra State, set up Orient Petroleum. Because Anambra was said to have some oil wells, even though they were having conflict with Kogi State about the location. But that's just politics that can be easily resolved. But from those gas pipelines, from those gas deposits, I even understand that Anambra State government has been getting 13% derivation
all the while
from all this. What have you used? How have you used it to develop infrastructure, gas infrastructure, to power Anambra State? When people read these things in the media, these are the things that foreign investors will gauge and say, oh, these guys are serious.
Know what to do.
Let's go and invest there. Even locally, these are the things. But what do you have? You come up and say, oh, Gombe State, a segment of a railway that should have been in the southeast, Gombe State took it. And so what? So what? Move ahead. Layers. Use the time you spend in Aso Rock and all that, use it use it wisely.
Yes,
use it productively.
Very true, Emeka.
Look, why should we be left out of irrigation? The question I asked is this. You say no railway in the southeast. Did you make provision for it? If they ask you where is the right of way for the railway, do you have it? Gas infrastructure, do you have right of way for gas infrastructure? If they ask you, bring the map.
Because all those things need to be there.
They have to be
before you can even
they have to be there.
Put forward.
Do you have a map for metering stations? You have people from your states who are in the oil and gas sector. Why not make use of these people? Please draw a map. Let's even assume that, okay, our state will be the sole financier of, gas infrastructure in our state. Where and where will we put metering stations? Where are we going to locate the infrastructure? Those are the things you do ahead. Because at the end of the day, when the federal government is now, when you keep trumpeting it, we cannot allow all this to go to waste. Okay, we are going to direct, infrastructure. What about power? One of the things that, look at Abba. One of the things that can enable you to make good use of gas is by having a power station, a refinery. If, let's say, a state like Anambra had a modular refinery, even if it is 5,000 barrels per day, 5,000 barrels per day, that is something. That is something. You say, okay, the wells that Anambra has, that you have mainly gas in those wells. Beautiful. Nothing is lost. Turn the gas, to CNG. Have CNG stations around Anambra so that you can have trucks that using CNG that can move goods around.
Very, very true, Emeka.
All of these things will bring development. In fact, along the line, you won't even need to be begging to be connected to the center, federal government. You won't be begging for federal government presence. Let me tell you, do you know there are some airports in the United States that are built and are being run by local governments?
And they had no reason to connect themselves to Washington. But yes,
somebody was telling me he met the governor of a state in the US. He asked him, "Have you been, have you been to the White House?" He said, "To go and do what?" He said, "I've been here 7 years. I've never been to the White House." To go and do what? Hey, come on, sit down. The issues are in your state. Not gallivanting up and down. Anywhere you have party primaries, you are there. You are now a
champion.
You are belittling your office.
Very, very true, Emeka. I think it's very important that we state some of these things. The reason why, we are stating these things and digesting them as much as we can is just to let us know that the reason, lots of those in the southeast of Nigeria would have no choice than to listen to Simon Ekpa and others is because of the deficit, gross deficit of leadership in the southeast, especially with those who represent us as governors, as parliamentarians in that region. But just before we go for today, Emeka, what is the worst case scenario for Simon Ekpa?
No, of course, the prosecution is seeking I think a jail time, for about 6 years or 10 years or something or the other. Well, but of course, I do know that since he has been in custody, at least the tempo has gone down. The tension has gone. In fact, when he was arrested, the tension really went down. It went down significantly. So the point is this. You have people like that, making content that promotes violence, because you don't have political leaders, who are invested in developing and transforming their jurisdictions. But the point also is this. Your destiny lies in your hands. Take notes. There is no career in being an unknown gunman.
Very true.
There is no career in going about killing people. It will end one day, very quickly. There is no career. You see, all of these fellows now, they call them native doctors, who have been found, to be engaged in all kinds of, illegal activities, human trafficking, organ trafficking, and the rest of them. There is no career in those things. Lying that when you do ritual, you bring money. Those things, there is nothing in those things. You know the better thing? It is better for people to apply themselves to sustainable pursuits. Go to school, get an education. That is the most powerful tool any human being can give himself or herself in the world. Education. It's not money. All these fellows throwing money up and down, they didn't work for the money. Nobody, look, correct me if I'm wrong, no human being on earth who has made money who worked hard, diligently, honestly,
yes,
will be throwing bundles of money. Nobody.
Very true.
Because when he thinks of what he went through, when he remembers that his company is owing banks, because banks will not give you money to go and eat or to go and throw a party. They will give your company. You now divert the money and be using it to do all kinds of rubbish, like we've seen with some misguided, businessmen, and they had to pay for it.
Very true.
So, get yourself get an education, learn a skill. Leave all this noisy rhetoric for politicians. Don't allow politicians to use your head to break coconut. Don't allow politicians to use you, because they will not bring their children. They will not bring out their children to come and fight. You won't see their children on social media insulting people, trolling people and all that. You will not see that. Make good use of your time. The Southeast needs a transformation right now. And those who can, there are some people who are really doing a lot, trying to change the narrative. I'll urge them, the media is also part of it. Let's all be invested in changing the narrative.
Very true.
We will deal with the issues. We will deal with the issues. And dialogue is the way out.
Very, very
But
true.
trying to talk about secession and all of that is a long way, is a hard road that will, is a hard road. If it gets to the point where this country has to break up, then it will have to be the collective decision of all the component parts. But insofar as we continue to say we want to stay together, let's do our best to keep the country. And the last thing I want to say is this. Some of the things we also blame outsiders for are things we do ourselves. Just because of time, I would have listed certain things. I would have listed certain things. Projects meant for the Southeast, diverted by politicians in the Southeast to other places. And why is it so? Because some of these fellows don't count it as anything that, look at, that there is something being lost. That this is a legacy that is being lost. It's sad.
Very, very sad, Emeka. We all would agree here, just like Emeka did say, the southeast of Nigeria needs a transformation. And I am proud to say here that an average southeasterner, just like every other Nigerian, are more concerned about life, are more concerned about sustainability, are more concerned about what they can bring home to the table, are more concerned about how healthy and well their family members are. No one is really so concerned about secession or whatever it is. But of course, when there is deficit of simple amenities that should go to them, that is when they begin to listen to people they should not listen to. And for those who are very curious about desiring for something that is more tilted towards self-gratification, I think it's very important we learn from notable people like Nelson Mandela. After serving 27 years in incarceration, he came out not asking for secession, not asking that the blacks should, succeed from South Africa, but what he needed was everyone come together to build a great South Africa. And that is the reason why South Africa is what it is today. There is hope for this country, if only all hands must be on deck to ensure that we have it running. Thank you so very much, Emeka, for being here. I truly do appreciate you. And for everyone that has watched the stream, wherever it is you've done that around the world, I'd love to say thank you. We truly do appreciate you and never will take you for granted. But please do well to visit us if you may. You can always find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally rewatch this when you see us at Enterprise TV 7. I am Henry Igwebike. Thank you for watching. We'll see you